Hello, everyone. It's Yvonne here, and thank you so much for joining us for another Mornings with Mayish. I have our Mayish Design Star here with us, Tyson Lee of Mr. Lee Designs, and he is going to be talking about his second tutorial video. Have you guys seen it? It's an avant-garde floral wig. It's amazing. We're going to also start talking a little bit about landing high-profile clients, finding inspiration, creative processes, and so much more. In addition to, of course, answering your flower questions. And speaking of, while we are waiting and everyone's coming in, I just wanted to let you know if you post your comments or questions in the comment section, we will definitely be able to answer those live for you. And that's one of my favorite parts. So I hope that you guys feel engaged and want to participate with us, and it'll make it a really great show. While again people are coming in, be sure to say hello, and we will get started in a minute. I just want to double check and make sure everything is good to go on the Mayish ends on Instagram Live, which it looks like we are. So awesome, good. So let me bring on Tyson, and we are going to get started. Hey Tyson, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you? Good
I
morning,
am.
everybody. Well, afternoon for some.
Yeah, good morning and afternoon. It's lunchtime here on the East Coast and breakfast time where you're at, Tyson.
It sure is, and I just had my breakfast, so I am prepared. I hope I am.
Awesome. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say welcome and thank you again for joining us today. I also wanted to just bring up your amazing ensemble that you have on. Do you want to talk about it a little bit?
Um, I mean, Halloween's every day for me. I enjoy dressing up, looking like a weirdo. It's fun for me, and it makes me happy, and I hope it makes everybody else happy. It's one of my favorite designers. I've actually wore his pieces in this last video as well. His name is Walter Van
Yes.
Bierendonck. He's amazing. He's fun. Everything's fun.
What was the name of the designer?
His name is Walter Van Bierendonck.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good. I
yeah.
love it. Good, good, good. I love having fashionable people and people that take risks, and that's not me at all.
That's all right. To
But
each
I
their
love
own.
it still,
I
and
mean,
I
if
can
you can
appreciate it.
appreciate it, I mean, and you can smile at it. I think that's what I want to convey at the end of the
I
day.
love it. Very good. All right, so let's jump in to your floral wig design. So this is interesting because you did two floral wig designs for your Mayish Design Star videos. The first one was more of kind of like a wedding vibe, more like I feel like more of an everyday look, if we will, right? Something that even
A
though
very
you're
big everyday look, but yes.
yes, yes, but you talked about, like, how it could be pared down, you could, like,
Yeah,
change it out a little bit and, again, make it more, more feeling, like, accessible to people, that could do it in like, people like me in a wedding, you know?
of
I
course.
would yeah, something like that. But this video is completely avant-garde, totally yeah, outside of the box, very high-end, fashionable, so can you just talk a little bit about the differences between the two designs and then the different design mechanics that you used too? Because even though you did two floral wigs, you used totally different mechanics on how to put it all together, which I think was great.
Um, I think I chose September October to be the Mayish Design Star just because October is my favorite month. It's my birthday and it's Halloween and it
Yeah.
just kind of collides and it's the perfect month for me. I love autumn. It's a great season and especially the product that comes out as well, like the amaranthus that I use. And in terms of in terms of the looks, the first one I wanted something that people can relate to a little bit more.
Right.
And this new one that I did, even if you didn't relate to it, you can take bits and parts of it out and be inspired, even by the mechanics, as you had said. Um, Weirdly enough, the mechanics were very similar from the first to the second, except I used it in a very different way. The first one I had put moss between two layers of chicken wire to create almost like a foam or a form that you can insert flowers in, just like you do installations without foam. You know, you can wet the moss, but I don't suggest wetting the moss on top of your head. But wetting the
Yeah.
moss and create and putting flowers in there. So you know, uh, we're trying to get away from the foam era. So it has the same basics and mechanics and structures of that. The second one, I use the chicken wire literally as a base. So I got inspired by hair weaves, like wigs, but really wigs. And
Yep.
you know how you take hair and you strand it through and you pull it out. It's almost like sewing each piece on. So I did the same thing with the chicken wire, but the chicken wire was already a grid, and I just literally wired each amaranthus. And I believe I did about almost 100 stems on the head. So each
Wow.
one I didn't show the whole thing because I don't think you want to watch 7 hours of me hand wiring every single piece. You would fall asleep and be bored to death. But I
Yes.
use the mechanics in that way that I literally just attach each section, each amaranthus strand to a section of the chicken wire. So the mechanics are very similar, but I use it in very different ways.
Very cool. I loved it. I think it turned out beautiful. And I loved your whole, again, ensemble from the wig to what you wore. And then when you had the face of roses, kind
That part I
of,
did not show how to make, but literally just glue it to a mask
yeah,
and slap it on. I didn't think that was important, but I had fun with it. And I hope I didn't scare too many people, which that's what Halloween's for, right?
right. I know. So what kind of look were you going for? Like, how would you describe
I
that?
don't
And
know if I went for a look. It's like almost how I do floral. I just start and how I dress. I just kind of put piece by piece and by piece on. This time, I just, you know, that rule of thumb, take one article of clothing off. I didn't take any article of clothing off before I left the house. I just kept piling it on.
it
And,
reminded
you
me
know,
kind of like a dragon,
a little
something like that.
bit, a little bit. I had tried the same wig on a drag queen, and it was a very different look. And when it was on me, and you know, also wanted to show a lot of the hair pieces are made for females. We can like men or anybody can actually wear these pieces as well.
Yeah, I love it. Amazing. Great
Thank
job.
you. Thank you.
So you brought up drag queens. And so I know you've done a really wide range of projects throughout your career, ranging from, I was looking at your website, a lighting company to, you know, the drag community. So do you want to talk a little bit about some of your most memorable projects that you've been involved with?
Um, I think some of the most memorable pieces were to for a very influential drag queen in my life, Juanita Moore. She actually inspires the community to stand up and do what you believe in and really and and just stand up. And she had asked me to do a piece for her and Honey Mahogany. And Honey Mahogany was actually on RuPaul's, but she is now part of the political. She's very she's part of she's really big in politics now, and she's amazing. And we did a piece for each of them. Sorry, honey, I don't know your exact role. I do apologize, but I did a piece for the both of them when we needed to vote. Doesn't matter
Hmm.
who you voted for, but at least go and vote no matter what, and really show your voice. And I think for that we did that in front of the San Francisco City Hall, and you know we did these colors and these reds and oranges that really popped off of City Hall, and it was just nice to do that, to embrace my family and my culture, and also for all of us to stand up and vote.
I love it. Beautiful. Voting is important.
Yes.
Um, any other memorable projects
I remember
for
when
you?
I was one of my very first gigs. I think I was like 17, maybe 18 years old. I did the the president of Taiwan at that time came in town, and I did his birthday.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, I'm 18 years old. I'm doing this. It was pretty wild. Um, it was big. It was a good 50 tables. It was one of my very first gigs, and that was like, oh, okay. I
Oh my
didn't know
gosh.
what I was taking on. I did it, and it was exhausting, but I don't remember it being exhausting actually. But it was
You were 18
memorable.
years old.
I know it's memorable for me because of my age, and I was like, what am I doing? I didn't have any experience at that point. Just did it. It's memorable to me just for that reason. I don't know if it was memorable in terms of what I made because I don't remember what I made. But it was memorable to me because I was like, wow, I'm doing this, and it was exciting. It was fun, and I mean, I've had many types of careers, literally careers,
Yeah.
in luxury fashion and lighting and home decor and all this and styling and wardrobe styling and a lot. And I've had so many memorable moments, and all of that have shaped me into the aesthetic that I enjoy and what I create.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Okay. So you mentioned your very first gig. You're doing a party for the president of Taiwan.
Yeah,
And we know that you do have a bunch of high profile clients that you Ali mentioned it to me that you don't really talk about because you probably can't.
I
So
can't,
right.
and I can't even show photos.
Right. So, but can you tell us, like, how the heck did you land a giant party when you're 18 years old? How do you land now I'm sure it's different now than it was then, but
Oh yeah.
how do you make these connections? Like, what do you
That
do?
first one was word of mouth. I mean, there was no social media. There was nothing back then. There was a telephone. I mean, internet was kind of going, but
Right.
I didn't have a website or anything like that. It was all word of mouth back then, and I think it's the same these days. It's word of mouth. Word of mouth. Social media is very scary on what it can do. In a good and bad way, but it really has propelled me into what I am doing these days. Um, People have found me in through social media. Um, Word of mouth is great. Um, I consider myself a creative and artist, as I think most all of you do as florists,
Right.
because that is what I want to do at the end of the day. And when I create something that I'm proud of, I think it conveys and shows. And if I bring something to a client and they really enjoy it and they give me the freedom to do what I want to do and they see it, the word of mouth continues. And
Right.
a lot of my work has come from that.
Right. Do you think drawn to you because like outwardly too you look very creative, you
People,
exude creativity
I
and
do,
are people drawn to that then, because
I
everyone
do
has word of
show up
mouth,
like
right?
this sometimes. People come up to me, they're like, "Oh," when I'm not dressed like, they're like, "What happened? Did you sleep in, or are you sick? Are you tired? What's going on?" I'm like, "No, I've been at the flower mart since 4 a.m. I can't put this on. Going to the flower mart, hauling flowers." It's people do approach me and enjoy what I wear, and
Right.
even if you don't, at least it's like, I think I've said it before. It's like, you noticed me, but I don't wear this to be noticed. I wear this because I want to put a smile on everybody's face, and I enjoy it myself. I really, really do.
Right.
I
Right.
I enjoy it for the art and the creativity behind it, the thought process behind it. Um, just like the work that I try to create. I
Yeah.
want to show the same feelings.
Very good. So we've talked a bit about this, I feel like, in the last episode, but I feel like you seem to have found that like sweet spot that a lot of people crave where, your clients let you do what you want. Like you have a vision, they trust you, they execute. I'm sure there's, some brainstorming and things like that working together and collaborating, but yeah, I feel like you kind of get to do what you want to do. Do you agree with that? And if so, how did you get to that place?
I do. I think when I tell a client, you hired me for a reason to create something special for you. Let me do my job, and I will give you 1000% of me.
Right.
Something that is even obviously, I think all of you know as well. You're going to give your client everything and that much more. When I meet with the client, I don't just say, "Oh, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? Give me a Pinterest board." I want to know who they are. I want to know how they met. I want to know what they do. I want to bring small details of who they are into what I'm creating. Um, if that's for an event or a wedding, if I'm doing it for the space, I want to see their space. I want to see where it's sitting. I'm not just going to create anything. I'm not just going to create a bouquet and send it. I can do that, but if it's something very special, I want to know where it's living and what what's the purpose for it. I think
Right.
floral is all very pretty, but I want to go a little bit more deep than that. I want to know who they are, and even if at a wedding or an event that I'm doing, and I create it, and nobody really notices it, but the bride and the groom, or whoever, bride and bride, groom and groom, whoever, they notice those little things like, oh, and that puts a smile on their face. That means a lot to me. Not everybody needs to know why I created it, but if they know, I think it's very special.
Yeah. I love that. I love it. So it sounds like you do like a little bit of secret designing where, they don't know exactly what you're going to do and you kind of surprise them.
Yeah, I would say like on a good day, it's like 50-50. That
Mhm.
I'll surprise them 50%. I'll tell them kind of the gist of what I'm going to create, the color palette and this and that.
Right.
But, you know, I think when everyone's creating with flowers, especially certain pieces, almost like Ikebana, when you're looking at a stem,
Mhm.
not every stem is super straight. You're going to create something with that. I like to have nuances from piece to piece that are a little different here and there. Um,
Right.
I think that just makes it a lot more interesting.
For sure. Definitely. So I think this is a good segue too, because you're talking about getting to know people and having depth in what you're designing and kind of more of a, I think, evolved and inspired design. So where do you get your inspiration from? Like if it's, let's pretend that it's not like a wedding or event. Maybe it's something that you're just kind of starting from scratch or, different design ideas. Like other than from the people that you're working with, where are some other places that you get your inspiration from?
Um, I go through moments. I think during pandemic, um, there was that Asian hate area, and that kind of propelled me into creating some things that I truly wanted to believe in. I created these little rice bowls and kind of I threaded all these ferns with red thread to create almost like a family tree. I It's the product that speaks to me, and then if there's a base of what I want to convey, um, I pull things from that. I pull things from everything.
Right.
Honestly, if it's just an arrangement for somebody, what inspires me is I find one focal piece that actually inspires me, or if it's a heliconia, or if it's a branch, or anything that kind of propels me to create the rest of the piece. But otherwise, if it's projects for myself, it's I don't know. It stems from an object or something that I saw while I was taking a walk or driving down the street.
Right.
Anything, honestly, like anything can inspire me at all times. Um, you know, I know everyone's really busy and sometimes can't see what's around, but please take that time to do that. I mean, in the past couple of weeks, I have not been able to sit down, and this is the first time I've been able to sit down and enjoy speaking to you right now. But anything inspires me, honestly.
Yeah.
The people around me, designers, fashion, interiors, anything. It really does. And I think I start from that, and my brain starts going like a little hamster wheel. And I start
Right.
thinking and thinking. And sometimes I don't jot them down, and I'm like, oh my god, what did I just do? I didn't do that, and I forgot everything I was thinking about.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask next. Like, do you write these ideas down? Like, how do you keep track of all of that? Do you have
It
like a
depends
little
where
something?
it depends where I am. I
Yeah.
truly hope that I can remember to jot them down.
Right.
As I get
Right.
older, my brain's going, is
Hmm.
I'm losing my mind here and there. But if I have something very adamant that I want to do, either number one, I'll create it right away. I'll
Hmm.
literally like create it right away, or I'll jot it down, or I'll draft it out, sketch it out.
Right. I love that. And then because, creativity is obviously important to pretty much everyone in our industry, like, and you were saying how you need to take time and stop and just be in the moment and see what's around you. Do you schedule that time for yourself once in a while because you do get so busy, or you just try to do it when you have time to do it? Like, how do
I
you
wish
manage that?
I wish I could say that I scheduled time for that. I think we all could wish that we could schedule time for ourselves.
Right.
I think that is truly a blessing that we can all do that. We're all blessed to I'm blessed to do what I'm doing. We're all blessed to do what we're doing, and the freedom to be creative. Actually,
Yeah.
um, being creative is very difficult, especially. I don't know. I was thinking about this earlier. It's like being creative as a florist. It's like how much is creativity? At the end of the day, it's only like 20-30%. The rest is all business,
Right.
and um, I
Business
do
and
need
just
to make more time.
tasks, just
And I
doing
think,
stuff.
yeah, but it's always doing stuff,
Yes.
picking stuff up. It's such a physical job that people like. If you, I meet people that are like that, not all of you because you're all florists, but people that are not florists, like, oh, it's such a cute job. I'm like, cute.
Yeah.
Have you tried doing it? Have you
Yeah.
have you cut your fingers in half before? Have you hurt your back picking up like four like boxes of I don't know whatever? No, it's not cute.
No.
It's not cute. But it's
It
but it's at the end of the day that end product is I think all of you can agree it's very satisfying to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I know people have no idea the work and, like, the labor that goes into, um, the finished product for sure.
It's like,
They don't.
people buy flowers at, Trader Joe's and they're like, why is yours so expensive? I'm like, you don't know how much time that all of us florists go to the flower market and pick the specific things out there that really inspire you. And that takes time and the
Mhm.
mechanics and all the time that goes into it. It's not just picking flowers and ta-da, it's done. You don't
Right.
buy a full arrangement that's done at Mayish,
Right.
you know.
For
I
sure.
wish, that would be amazing. It's like, hi, it's already done. We would have no jobs, you know. Yeah.
No jobs and everything's gonna look the same exact, but it's
Oh,
done.
yeah, it's done, right? It's done.
Yeah, that would be sad. Let's not go down that road.
No, let's not go to please don't go down that road because I really enjoy what I do.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we talked about inspiration, and once you're inspired and you have to take that inspiration to realization, what is that creative process for you like? I know you mentioned a few things like about, I think um like drawing things out, kind of that type of thing, but what can you take us through your process?
Drawing things out, sketching it out. Things obviously will change. Nothing is solidified. because obviously when you start working with product and the mechanics and everything, things change. But when you start, sometimes in my brain, as I'm working more and more, the mechanics start getting in my brain and kind of stop me on what I want to create. And I sometimes have to pull back, and it's like, no, I shouldn't let that pull me back. I need to draft everything out and draw everything out that I really truly want to create. And then when that's done, think about the mechanics and how it should be made, how the structure or anything that you're making, even if it's a small bouquet, how you're going to create it. And then obviously when you start finding product to use for it, everything might just change again.
Right.
But that's a creative process to anything. If you're in interiors, you know, you buy a piece and it's like doesn't fit, and it fits here and there, clothing, styling, you know, anything like that, everything will change. But that's when everything comes out even better, where the piece that you have made is even that much more satisfying to look at, because it evolved and evolved and evolved into something that you never expected it to.
Right. Right. So just being very fluid in the process.
Being very fluid. I mean, I think working with flowers, you have to be. You know, when you order 100 packs of roses and, you know, that color is not available,
right,
because of all these environmental changes, what do? You know, you have to be very fluid and flexible, and something even that much more great can come out of it. I truly believe that things happen for a reason. And if you let go of that control, it's even better.
Yeah. Let go of control.
Let it go, okay, Elsa?
So
I'll let it go. Wow, it's really early from here now.
Yeah. You have no idea how often that song has been sung in my house.
I can imagine with two girls.
Two girls. Yes.
Oh my goodness. I never watched that movie till recently, honestly.
Oh yeah, and it lasted a long time. I mean, it came out and like everyone loved it for like ever. So like you just never got away from the song.
No. You'll never get away
like just
from
recently, I feel like, yeah. That's a tangent. Okay, so yes. I was just thinking, just, you know, we're talking about being inspired in the creative process, and then like, you know, in that creative process, right, how do you like manage then the budgets of your clients that you're working with? Like, you know, because you're so creative and you've got to make sure that there's still like that balance, right, of like staying in a budget and making sure you're making money and all that fun stuff. How do you manage that part?
Creativity was that 20-30% that I said before.
Yeah.
70-80% is the rest that you need to manage. If you're creating something there's no budget, obviously just go all out. But usually I like to know a budget in the very first place, at least to know what kind of materials I can use. Right. But if there isn't and budget changes, you know, finding that 70-80% of the rest is all business, trying to find what's that word? An alternative to what you can use and still create what you want.
Right.
And that's the difficult part about all of it. You know,
I bet
being a creative and making money is, I think we all can agree that it's a struggle. It definitely is a struggle. Goodness, can you imagine if we all had an unlimited budget of anything to make anything? It would be I mean, it would be amazing, but at the same time very stressful at the same time.
Right.
Because you're left with all this stuff and it's like, oh my god, I have to create something spectacular with all this, because especially all of this stuff that will die in a week.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't know, I really enjoy working with Fresh Cut for that reason, because it's very, you Like you want to talk about live in the moment? You really have to live in a moment with your
Yeah.
artist. You really, really do, and I enjoy that.
When you're a sculpture of dying things, you have to live in the moment.
I still laugh when that interior designer and her husband just labeled me as that, and I still enjoy
I do too. I'm gonna say that every time I get a chance to now.
it. I mean, all of us as florists are sculptors of dying things.
Yep.
It's
It
it's a
needs to be a t-shirt.
it should be. I think I'm gonna do that.
I think you should.
Oh man, percentages have to go to the people that actually labeled me as that, right? It'll be fun.
So good.
Coming soon.
Coming soon. Stay
Yep.
tuned, guys. Okay, so can we talk a little bit about career goals? You've done so many things and been involved with so many different industries, and it really feels like you found a home where you're at. But what do you see for yourself in like the next 5 years in terms of your career?
I definitely want to be creative still. I would love to merge all my different passions of creativity in one. Um, Fashion, interior, just sculpture, art, all in one. I would love to work with other artists. I would love to create with other artists. Uh, I think it's really inspiring for all of us. That's another thing of taking time for ourselves. That is also a time to take time for yourself to meet other creatives that you may not relate to, that may push you and push your boundaries and make you uncomfortable. I don't think being comfortable is. I don't think being comfortable makes me comfortable. Does that make sense?
Totally, because I always say I think everyone needs to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I want to be pushed.
Hmm.
And sometimes when you're so busy, you don't want that. But I think it's necessary for us to evolve. And in my 5-year run, I want to I want to be uncomfortable. But I really want to create with other creatives. I
Yeah.
want to create. I mean, obviously, I would love to do editorials. I would love to do fashion shows. I would love to do all this above, but I would love to create something that's just, me and another artist or a whole group of collectives into one that has a singular vision that we execute um, in different forms of like, just, yeah, like in all different design aspects.
Yeah. Sounds amazing.
That's not very specific of a 5-year plan, but in business wise, of course, I want my business to flourish.
Right.
Because I still need to pay my rent because I live in the most expensive city in the world. But yes,
I just wanted to point out that I think, yeah, you guys are very expensive, but I think Miami just took number two spot for the most expensive place to live because it's the way they look at it is like the difference between the median household house price and then
got it.
median like income.
Yep,
So
I
yeah,
get it.
Miami just took number two spot after New York City. So
So for us, the only problem is, and
sorry,
I
very
think it
tangent there. I'm so
no,
sorry.
that's actually really interesting, and it actually completely makes sense because come on, we live in this tech world. Everyone makes a million gazillion dollars, and they live in a million gazillion dollar houses.
It's crazy.
But what happens to the creatives?
Right. What
You
happens
know,
to them?
where do we lie in that? Where do we
Mhm.
lie in Miami, New York, or San Francisco, or LA, or in any of these cities? Do
Right.
we have to be on the outskirts to be creative?
I think that's an amazingly valid question.
Yeah.
And not just for creatives, just normal people. Like
How about the people that have to run McDonald's or Walgreens?
yes. Yeah.
It's I don't want to go on a tangent on that, but yeah, it's crazy. It's
It
really, really.
is. And then we can go on a little tangent because like it just reminds me of there was, a position open for Brian, and he was like, "Hey, why don't we move to this kind of city?" And it's a city in California, and I was just like, my our children are going to be like poor, like like where we are now. We have like just a good life and all of that. But I was like, unless you make like quadruple of what we're making now, I was like, how would we even live? Like, what would we do? Like,
Yeah.
it's not like we have an extravagant life now. And how would we have a happy life, and we were able to do things and all that. But it's a huge question. I think that's important with these kinds of things and these kind of conversations. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but I think it's something that everyone needs to kind of think about and figure out a little bit.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, that almost leads back me, but just in my head, that leads back to the mayor's talk about pricing.
Right.
Pricing in cities like San Francisco or New York or Miami right now. You have to be at that price point, and and if you want top quality work, you you need to be appreciated for it, honestly. And I think we all, I think I saw some Instagram post by, how Instagram goes and goes, and it's like something random pops up, and this one woman was saying, it's like, we all struggle with pricing. I still do. I don't. I hope that woman and I are not the only ones in that boat. I think
Right.
we all are. We will always be uncomfortable pricing our product,
Right.
but we really need to appreciate our value, and especially if we live in these cities like that. Doesn't matter if we live in these cities, but really,
Yeah.
you need to be appreciated by some money.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Exactly. I mean, we talk about that a lot, I feel like, about, especially, kind of talking to like newer people that are in the industry, and, they're just trying to get business, and that's fine, right? But then at the end of the day, everyone needs, you're doing this to make a living, right? You're doing it because it's a passion, but you're also doing it to make a living. You have to be able to live, right? You have to be able to enjoy your life as well. Otherwise, what's the point of it all, So,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you got to be able to feel comfortable about like, listen, this is what I'm worth. This is what I need to charge. This is, and be able to stand by that and not like cower when someone's like, why is it so expensive? Like, I don't understand.
then then those people like that, you need to fire.
Right.
As a designer, as your own business owner, as your own business, you need to fire that customer, because they're not appreciating you. And if you educate them and romance your product and they do appreciate, that's one thing. But if they don't, you fire them. It
Yeah.
is not worth. Things will come your way, and it sucks. It sucks that we have to have this conversation.
Yeah. And I think we're always going to continue to have this conversation because I think it's something that I feel like everyone struggles with this. So I'm glad that you brought it up, Tyson,
I
honestly, because
still do. I,
yeah.
I literally like.
And people feel bad. Like
I
I
feel.
read so many posts, like they feel guilty. Like I don't want to
I
have to
do.
charge this, but
I
this
do
is,
too.
yeah.
I'm not the only
And
one.
why? Why do people feel like that?
I think because customers don't appreciate floral. They correlate our industry with the the market, like what they buy at the market, or a farmer's market, anything like that.
Right.
There's a stigma to it, and it reminds me of this. I forgot what it was. It was a documentary about Chinese food, and had the stigma of what people portray Chinese food as, only to be cheap
Mm-hmm.
and low grade, and it's very unfortunate. Being in the beginning, they were trying to survive, and they got pushed into this category. Maybe there's a correlation with all that,
Right.
which really, really is very unfortunate, but we really need to stand up for what we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree, Tyson, 100%. Love it.
I need to listen to what I say too.
You do. Listen to yourself. You can, well,
Yes.
now you can press replay anytime you
Oh no,
want.
I don't want to listen to my voice again. Oh no, I'm good. I'll just listen to you again. How's
Oh no.
that?
All right. So I kind of wanted to wrap up today's episode by just asking you, how do you define success for yourself?
I think I think when I start creating something that is innately me or what I really truly believe in, if it's me or for a client or anything like that, I and I'm so elated of what I created because my vision came true. I find that success. Um, Unfortunately, going back to the money issue, that's very Western, a new thinking of that. That's how we have to be successful as money, which all we need to eat and live. But um, being happy with what I've created and really in just even if it's like very inspired or anything, even if it's a small bouquet. I mean, I think when I like initially started, when I was delivering flowers and people were so elated and so happy to see me deliver something to them that I created to them, and they're so happy, that made me feel successful. That made me feel happy.
Right.
Um, and we can't forget that. I don't think. I don't think we should forget that. You know, it's sometimes these budgets get so big, like we don't, like customers don't remember to be thanked, to thank the like the creator, and I I find that it's not validation, but even for
Mhm.
self validation, if you're proud of what you made, I find that success.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. So good. All right, Tyson. Thank
Thank
you
you, everybody.
so much for joining me this morning and dressing for us this morning. I love it. You like made my day. You definitely put a smile on my face. Like I literally I like both my girls are home today, so I like threatened them with their lives. Like, do not come into my office right now while I'm doing this live.
I wish I could
Um,
say hi to them.
I know, but I might like after this, I'm gonna ask you to stay on so that way they can come say hi to you.
I
I don't
would
know if
love
they're
to.
inside or not. Yeah, so good. Penny says, "Say it with flowers, fantastic designers."
Thank you, Penny.
Yeah, yeah, I love it, Penny. Thank you for joining us too, and everyone else that joined us today. I hope you have an amazing day and stay tuned for our next show and keep on sending in your flower questions. I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone. Bye, everyone. Bye, Tyson.
Bye.